Ben Durbin, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Lights, camera, action. Let's see what happens here.
Yes, sir. Should be a good conversation. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Me too. What just happened there? Oh, okay. There was music. Okay.
A little bit of music going on.
Gotcha.
Is the drive for success rooted more in desire or insecurity?
Oh, wow. That's deep. We start off strong.
A little bit.
I like your style. Okay. I would hope desire. But I'd imagine it's different for everybody. For me personally, I hope it's a desire. I hope that it's a longing to make a difference. It's a longing to help others that we're around. But I'd imagine there's many of us that maybe have insecurities, and that's what drives us. Whatever it is, whatever drives you, if you get to a point that you want to get to, then is it really that big of a difference? Who knows?
Do you think it's healthy to have insecurities?
Yeah, probably. We're all our worst critic, right? So, but it comes with a balance. If it's this terrible dysphoria that's just driving you to points of insanity and it's intermingling with your day-to-day life, then 100% we should probably try to figure out how to avoid that. But I think a healthy insecurity is probably good. And, I hope we can all look at ourselves in one way or another and try to be better and be, insecure, quotation marks, about one thing or another.
Well, I think what most of us struggle with in particular is balancing, like you said, the balance between is it a healthy insecurity or not, and getting swept up in not feeling like you've accomplished what you want, hitting these marks that you've worked so hard for, that you said you were going to be happy, when you did, and then you get to that point and it's finding like, how much do I indulge in this so that I don't veer off the path and become content?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I just don't celebrate it enough, right? And wallowing in that, and just a constant, I think moving the standard is good.
Mm-hmm.
But where's that line drawn?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people struggle with that in particular. And like you had talked about, it kind of goes like, if you get what you want out in life, then, that's what you really ultimately are struggling for, or striving for in particular. But I had heard someone say that the measure of intelligence is based on what you get out of life, based on what you wanted out of life. So think about the things that you've wanted in life, and if you can get them, what you wanted personally, if you can get them, that would be measure of intelligence, which I think is a constantly changing parameter nowadays. People are seen as, you have to meet certain standards, you have to meet certain qualifications to be somewhere. How do you, I guess I'm curious, how do you view that? Having people that you being a business owner, having people who want to work for you, having people, being in a position where you can give people opportunity as well as take it away. How do you view that?
Yeah, being in a position where you can provide opportunity, it comes with its it comes with its pros and cons, I guess, but it's not necessarily about me. It's about, what can I do for others that I'm around? I would say usually, whether or not I'm, hiring someone or not, and we have a lot of applications weekly here, I always know that it's for their best interest, whether they get hired or not. It's almost irrelevant to what's going to happen in their path. It's just what's best for them. So I can't necessarily loom on something if I didn't hire someone for any particular position. I just have to have confidence that it's part of their journey. It's part of their plan, not to work here.
So not shouldering that weight.
Yeah. If I shouldered that weight, I wouldn't sleep. I wouldn't sleep at night. Right. I mean, truly. So I can't let that weigh on me. I just have to have an understanding. It's like the ways of the nature of the world. It's just, as it comes. Usually, to be honest, I usually hire just based on persistence. If there's people that just kind of show up and start like asking to work and like volunteering to work, then they just kind of like work themselves into a position. That's
I
usually
can think of someone in particular that way.
yeah. Over to my right, this guy just started showing up, and now all of a sudden he's finding himself in some positions. So same thing with some of my longest tenured employees. They started out as interns. They started out in very humble beginnings, and then grew into the director roles and things like that.
Well, yeah, and talking like we talk about Ryan in particular. It was something where I'd brought him in just to live with me, him being a gym guy, and there's just this desire to chase. There was a desire to grow out of his environment, right? And having those conversations with him and hearing this is what I wanted to do, and being able to be there and be like, okay, you should take that jump. Okay, the cool thing about it is he understood he was in a position where maybe I don't have much to give, but what I do have to give, I'll give without asking in return. I mean, knowing that him not knowing you, maybe I'd had a relationship with you, but I wouldn't even say at that point. I mean, ours has grown over the last couple of months in a closer sense. Him just putting himself out there and understanding that if I create value, I believe in my own value. I believe in myself and what I possess and the gifts I possess, and I'm willing to show that. And sometimes you just need people that are willing to sit next to you and believe in that as well. Like, you are worth your gift. Like, your gift is worth being paid for, right? Yeah. Don't waste your time. But him putting himself out there, I think that's significant and a great example, I think, for people to look forward into when you are chasing those things. Understanding that there's that desire there. You have to just be willing to showcase your own value without maybe asking in return, because you might not get it.
Yeah, no, a lot of times when I see potential hires, and the ones that I'm mostly drawn to make an offer, figure something out for them, is I see curiosity in them, I see passion in them, and those are kind of unquantifiable. I can't necessarily ask a question in an interview and get those answers. I got to kind of see it. And, those are the ones that have been able to make their way in this industry, are the curious ones, the passionate ones. And, that's usually has been a good indicator for me on what a good hire is and what isn't a good hire.
Because some people, I'm sure, and I think this happens, you could say in any industry or path of life, I think some people believe because they have certain qualifications on paper that they're owed something. And I think this is a big recent generational issue, is entitlement. Yeah. I deserve to be in the position that I'm in. And understanding, like, I've understood me is like, you have to put yourself in positions to almost just be in front of certain people. I mean, I can look at the job I have now, and you could say I'm not qualified for it. Maybe I am. I have attributes for it, but I would have never gotten that job if I hadn't known a certain person. And people can sit there and say, oh, nepotism, but that's the way the world works, is how can you get in front of a person who does have the power and the opportunity to give you the opportunity, someone like you, and showcasing your gift without like you said, the sense of entitlement. I deserve to be here. Okay, you can think you deserve to be here, but why don't you show me well? Yep. Step up, do something different. Do you think we can truly chase success without intermingling significance?
Intermingling significance, what do you mean by that?
So this is something I've thought about, is we're all on this journey to kind of chase things, and we want all these things, and our goals are so big, but also on a macro level, understanding that, like, we're kind of insignificant. I mean, really think about it. None of us are we're all gonna die.
Yep.
None of us are gonna make it out of the worldly, realm that we're in alive. No one. And I'd seen a clip where they talked about, it's like the Queen, one of the most famous people ever in history, amassed more wealth than most people, died 18 months ago, and you didn't think about her until I brought her up right now.
Right.
And you're sitting here worried about the things that you're gonna do and the goals you're gonna have, and understanding that, like, you're just gonna die.
It's like, what's it matter?
Right.
What's it matter? The insignificance of our lives in the spectrum of existence of the universe doesn't matter. If you make a 30 car sales next month and you do great, doesn't matter. If we approach life like that, then yeah, our life isn't going to matter. But if we can approach life in a perspective of thanks, approach life in a perspective of gratitude, then the insignificance, it's almost like, it's in the back of your mind from here and there. And when you gaze at the stars, you realize just how insignificant we really are. But, if we ponder it too much, then it gets in the way of just the gratitude that at least we get to have a little spectrum here. We get to have our little speck on the entire existence.
Because even your chances of existence.
Yeah.
It's like 1 in 4 trillion that you even exist.
Yeah. Somebody said
Which is crazy.
I don't know.
And I think it's when people talk about insignificance, it is a scary feeling. I think to sit and think about, I have all these goals and hopes and dreams, and if I don't chase those things, I don't feel like I have a purpose. But if I chase those things and they become my purpose, what am I really working for? How much does it last? And I think when you frame it in a mentality of what I do necessarily, what I gain from my work isn't necessarily the prize, it's how I impact people. Using the money or using the resources or using the power, the opportunity to change other people's lives. Because that's what people are going to talk about at your funeral. And I've always been a person that believed, I've been rich, I've been poor, I've been I do well more than most people, and I'm lucky to, but I'm also someone who looks at it from perspective of, I'm also I'd like to think, and I think my friends would agree, I'm one of the first people to help someone. Because it doesn't matter. I'm confident in my ability to go make it. It's just money. It's just paper. But I can't get back giving you that opportunity or helping you out in that situation because I was there and I would have expected the same thing from you. Right? And just putting that out into the world. I think that's how people need to frame this dilemma of insignificance, in a sense. So, what do you do when everything you build starts to fall apart? In the face of a failed business, broken dream, or public loss, what determines whether someone rebuilds or retreats?
It's good. Get stronger. People, we can excel in the face of adversity. We can. It's like, when I talk to my athletes, I say these random quotes here and there where I'll say, it's like 6 a.m. on a damn Tuesday morning, and they're all coming in, eyes glazed, this and that, and it's, something of the nature of, each and every one of them, maybe they had something terrible happen to them the night before, and it's going to impact their efforts on that given morning. But if we can have a perspective of thankful for the experience and thankful for what it can do for me, because we know that challenges provide us with strength if we can overcome them, if we can learn to embrace them. So it's your girlfriend broke up with you the night before. Good, get stronger. It's you missed out on, you forgot to turn in your homework assignment. Good, get stronger. It's literally end it with good, get stronger on any moment, not even necessarily in the sense of weight. Okay, obviously I'm a strength coach. That's part of my profession. But strength in the sense of your stature, in the sense of how you handle a situation, what's your mental fortitude, do you still maintain composure in the face of adversity? Those are the tests of character. And so it's thankful. Greatness doesn't come with a silver spoon in your mouth. It's thankful for the hardship. Thank you for the despair, and just being appreciative.
Well, I think that's a learned trait, to be able to prospectively put yourself in a position where, okay, this is not my identity. I'm separating who I am. Is this part of shaping maybe who I am? Yes, but it's not me. And I think a lot of people wallow in failure, and I think it's okay to wallow in failure, but not too long. Because if you sit in that failure for a little too long, it's almost like you don't get out. It kind of affects you going forward. And I look at, they've done studies on high net worth individuals, high successful individuals, whatever, however you may classify that, I suppose, but people who have made big historical impacts. Those people always have high abilities to handle stress is what they've found.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about things are going to happen to me, the unchosen versus chosen suffering thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get better at unchosen suffering? Things that are going to happen, because every single person on earth is going to have a bad day. Someone that they love they're going to lose someone they love. They're going to lose money on something stupid. The car might break down. All these things that can happen to you that might be out of your control. But when you choose suffering every single day, chosen suffering, you get better at the unchosen suffering, knowing that is inevitable. So it's almost like practice every single day.
Yeah.
I think weightlifting in particular, and I think you agree, is one extremely easy way to learn that.
Mm-hmm.
What did you learn about the last time? Last time you failed, what did you learn about yourself? Have you had any epiphanies about failure?
I would say is probably some epiphanies I've had is the pain is when you really embrace it, it's like good. It meant something. Like it meant something. I mean, I lost my position at Iowa State and I was hurt. I was hurt for like 3 weeks. And then it was like, well, I just put my heart and soul in it. All right, that's all. I put my heart and soul in it. So I'm glad. Like it was painful. So I'm glad. It was a treasure. And then it's move on. But, if we dwell on it and we, let it overcome us and the pain is unbearable, that's when we lose ourselves. But it's thankful that it means something. And any loss, truly any loss, it's thankful for the experience. It can be as deep as a loved one, losing a loved one. It's the pain. If you manage it right, if we manage it right, it's like, I'm in pain because it meant something and I'm glad for it. I'm glad for the experience. I'm glad that I had that. And if we can approach it like that, then maybe our perspectives are a little bit better as we, on our day-to-day lives.
I had seen a video of someone talking about that, and he goes, I had lost my brother. And he goes, and I miss him every day, and it hurts. He goes, I'm 50% happy and 50% sad at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, but I wouldn't change it because it means that I loved my brother.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, if I ever stopped feeling sad or that pain ever went away, that wouldn't be a good thing.
Yeah.
And how beautiful yet cursed it is for us to feel such pain, love, because it's scary. And you have to take that leap of faith, knowing that failure, even if it, sometimes failure is out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one thing I've learned in particular is maybe it wasn't even something I did, but it's still accountability because I took that chance.
Mm-hmm.
It's still on me. I took that chance on that girl and she saw something in me that she didn't like. Well, I'd rather be where I'm loved and cherished and flourish. But if they chose not to do that, that's not on me. It's not who I am. But I'm accountable for putting myself in a position where I was vulnerable to that. And I think a lot of people shy away from that, particularly in dating and business too. Because it's not easy. I mean, you can look at the progress that you've looked at since that had happened. Because I remember being around here. That's kind of when I really started coming into Lyft here.
Yeah.
That's when if you just look at how things have shaped, even look back at the last, 5 months?
Mm-hmm.
Just the amount of things that are now, like the wheels turning now. Like I think you're in this special position now, and I'm getting to see it from a backwards perspective because I'm in my own kind of wheelhouse at the same time, but there's like this mesh in between where it's like, this is where I think we're going to look back and go, remember when we did that? Like we were in on it early. We got to be here when it happened early, the success early.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll look back and think those are the times. Because not everything's going to go perfect. I mean,
no.
I'm building a podcast studio here right now, and the amount of trouble that we ran into today was, I can't build things.
Yeah, it's almost, you just got to run with it. Like, it's going to happen. It's just, you fucked up on
But being like there's no pressure.
Yeah.
And being up there, like when we work together, it's like, drop something didn't cut through it. Well, figure it out. It'll look good when we're done. Oh, it doesn't look perfect. It's fine. We'll fix it.
Yep.
Like just that perspective, that constant perspective of patience.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's refreshing for a lot of people to be around. And I told you, I said, I set up my life so far, and I will continue to do so. I've put myself in positions where everywhere I am, whether it's my job, whether it's me doing podcasting, whether it's me here lifting, I do not surround myself with energy like negative, poor me energy.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone around me wants to be better, but at the same time, isn't up in you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like this. They go, if you want to be great, you got to figure it out for yourself. I'm going to give you the tools to do it, but I'm not going to sit here and push you. I'm not going to sit here and yell at you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to do. But, understand those things. I think I've created that life for myself, as I think I look around here and you have as well.
Mm-hmm.
A little quote that I found that I like a lot. Rock bottom became the solid foundation for which I rebuilt my life. J.K. Rowling. I think that kind of encompasses in particular like that mentality of when you hit rock bottom, when it happens, when those things that get yanked out from underneath you,
Mm-hmm.
there's no other way but up, realistically.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only direction I have to go is forward and up.
Yep.
Do you think that's a mentality you kind of adopted when that had happened to you?
Yeah, you have to. You have to adopt that. You have to embrace the night is darkest just before the dawn. You got to embrace the the mystery of the future. Embrace the I hate to say hope, because when it's hope, it's faint and distant, but and I hate to even say a dream because that's faint and distant, but it's just the embrace the journey, embrace the peaks and the valleys, and you'll often look back and be fond of the valleys. Really, you'll be fond
or
of,
laugh at what you thought. Like I really thought I couldn't.
Yeah, you'll be fond of them, and you might actually you might crave them. To be honest,
Yeah,
you crave them. You crave the despair. You crave the deep challenge because you know what it did for you, and so. If you can approach it like that from a business perspective, because a lot of things ain't gonna go right. That's just life. As a man, it's just life. So if we can embrace it as such, then when you're at rock bottom, you can maintain your composure and stand on your 2 feet and keep moving forward.
Did you ever doubt yourself?
Yeah, I would say there's a few times. I probably the most times I doubt myself is when I see a lot of people embracing my teachings, people just nodding their heads like whatever the hell I said, they're taking it like it's biblical and they're running with it. That's when sometimes I'll down and be like, am I telling this person the right thing? Am I truly telling? Am I the right person to be in this position of influence on
Imposter syndrome?
Yeah. That's how they describe it, I guess. Imposter syndrome. So, am I supposed to be the one in this position of influence on this individual, on their physicality, on their development of their human body? Having that doubt, but then it's just a self check. It's a self check, and it's checks and balances. Are you having successes? Is it making sense? Is it strategic? Are you well thought out? And then when you can cross those T's and dot those I's, okay, let's keep moving forward. This didn't work, but let's make a little slight alteration, and maybe it'll work in the future.
Mm-hmm. Keeping the humility, and like you said, when that imposter syndrome creeps up on you, it's looking around you and going, "What proof do I have that I am who I say I am?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because these things didn't happen by accident.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm surrounded by all these things that prove who I say I am, and I continue to do the things I say I always do, and it is who I am, then that must be who I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like this double take on yourself. Kind of moving on a little bit to motivation. We talk a lot about motivation, but when it fades, which it always does,
mm-hmm.
What then? What's the real engine that keeps someone consistent when no one's watching?
Probably routine. That's how I see it. Good routine. You find yourself on a schedule. You find yourself on a regiment. You find yourself on this is just what I do every day. And then on those days where the motivation is lacked for a variety of reasons that life just presents itself for us, because it's part of your routine. It just makes sense, and you just keep moving forward. So I would say, no matter how busy you might think you are, finding a way to be, find a way to be physical, find a way to exercise, find a way to have some sort of physical intensity.
You always feel better.
Of your life. 100%, you'll feel better. It's exercise is medicine. Hands down, it's medicine. We lose a lot of it in the modern conveniences of the world that we live in today. But if we can find ways to adhere ourselves to physicality, it can do wonders for you. I'm not saying you got to go be, a bodybuilder, this and that. Just finding ways to maintain some form of physicality. And, finding ways to maybe just think, be still, think about, where you're at, what you're doing. And those two things, no matter how busy we might think we are, if we can find those two things day to day, then on those days when we're not motivated, because that's part of our routine, because we're still, I just know my routine is I'm physical every day, and I take time to think. Just take time to think, maybe write, then I'm in a good place.
Well, yeah, I think we live in a world where we're pushed by comfort. I think comfort is so pushed.
It's abundance.
And it's so pushed and glorified that even the people who escape it, they're chasing it. The most disciplined people in a roundabout way, if you really think about it, are chasing comfort. Because what are they trying to set their life up to do? And I always tell people, it's like, I'm working hard. I want to be able to provide, but my ideas have shifted as to why I want to be successful. It's more so I'm creating opportunity for people around me because that makes me happy. It's no longer when you originally start, it's like, I want to retire and sit on a beach. But then you realize if I sat on a beach for longer than a week, I think I might drive myself crazy.
Yeah, the hell with that.
Like the idea of retiring, one, if you have to retire from a job, you worked.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to retire. I want to continue working. I might not be at the same place I was, but retiring just doesn't make sense to me. I don't want to work either.
Mm-hmm.
I want to flourish in what it is I do, but I think a lot of people view discipline as like a restriction rather than a way of life, understanding that the mundane is where the magic is.
Mm-hmm.
The mundane is where all the wins happen. If you look back at patterns, it's always patterns. Looking at, even we're now working in sales, you might have a really good month, and then you realize, you start to get this ego, and you're like, no, I figured it out. I'm good if I figured it out. And then you'll start skipping a couple steps, and then reality checks in and hits you, and you're like, oh, okay, it was in those small things that I always did, but I skipped it the last few times. Even me, I've been lifting 4 years. But when I don't do physical exercise, even I get this response. I don't know if you've ran into this. I won't lift for 3-4 days, just busy, whatever. I don't lose muscle mass, but I come back and I feel it hurts. Like my body hurts significantly, like worse after an exercise. And the workout that day is hard, harder than any other workout I've had. When you're in it, I think it's so easy to lose it. So hard to build it, but so easy to lose it. Because I think it's hard to get in shape, or I think it's hard to get where things are. It's not hard to stay.
Right.
If you continue to keep it part of your life. How do you create a system then that helps you survive those days? How have you created a system? How do you think people should create a system?
What's worked for me is notes, writing. It's, I think it's another sensory option of memory. And so, whatever it is that you wish to do on a daily basis, making sure that you've written that down certainly can get you through some of those days where you lack motivation. So for me, what's worked is writing down routines, writing down schedules, writing down to-dos. Because when you put it on paper, it means a little bit more. Everybody thinks this, everybody thinks that. Write it down on paper. Makes it a little bit more true to yourself. And so that's that's what's worked for me. I write more than I read, always have been, and just
What are you writing? Thoughts
yeah, mostly.
or
Well,
goals?
if you're talking about like a routine, I'm just writing down what I want to do over the next week. You know, what I hope to accomplish. You know, weekly to dos, daily to dos, those kind of
So you
things.
break it down short term.
Yeah, yeah, mostly short term. I don't do much. I don't do much more than honestly. I don't do much more than just a couple months out of in advance as far
Why?
as goals.
Why do you think that is?
I try not to. I just try to live in the present. I'm mindful of the future. I'm mindful of the past, but try not to be at the expense of the present. Try not to be at the expense of this moment in time. And so, if I dwell on the future too much, that's because it's a mystery. That's where anxiety comes and all those kind of things. So, yeah, if you have these, long term goals. Now it could be. Don't get me wrong. There's, this isn't an absolute because you could write down on a piece of paper, I'm gonna be a world champion at X, Y, and Z. That's probably a good thing to write down if you truly want to be a world champion, right? That's a long term goal. Maybe it's a short term goal, depending on where you're at. But the 8-year-old that writes that down, you're gonna be all right. That's probably gonna be okay. But don't let the long term stuff kind of intervene and get in the way of your day to day of, hey, you got to just show up the next day and just get a little bit better, keep challenging yourself, see where the cards fall later on. That's fine. But if I just find if I focus just on the moments that I'm in right now, the present, things tend to work out.
Well, you never fall to the level of your goals. You always fall to the level of your systems.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is where a lot of people fail. It's where I like to call them ambitious losers.
Mm-hmm.
I think the world's full of them. I meet them every day. People who tell me that I'm going to do this, and this,
mm-hmm.
but won't do it. And I think it's a measure of how fast you get those things done that really indicates that. Because I think people are always waiting. Oh, the time's got to be right here. Or just when I do this, and these barriers that they make up in their mind, right, to why you do it, or just a lack of, like you said, planning. I think it's so important to compartmentalize your goals short term, like you do, because I talk to these people and they're like, yeah, they might see something I do or something someone else does, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna do that, or I'm telling them to do that. Okay, I believe in you. So how are you gonna do it?
Mm-hmm.
Because, and this is something I've had to learn and develop for myself, is when I say I'm going to do something, because I don't do things half-ass. I refuse to.
Mm-hmm.
When I say I'm going to do something, I try to speed the process up into when I say it and how soon I do it. So I talk to you, it's like, okay, I sat down with you, I said, this is my plan. I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why I want to do this. Here's when I need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen, and it happened within a week.
Right.
Okay, there's still some things I get done. Guess what? They'll happen within a couple of days.
Right.
It's just shortening the time between when you say you're going to do something and doing the said thing holds you more accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the problem with ambitious losers, is they'll say things and they won't have a plan. Yeah. And if they have a plan, they'll create their own barriers for their plan. They'll have it, and then all of a sudden this thing comes out. Well, this, that, and it's like your life doesn't suck enough for you to actually change it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that I talked about it in one of my first podcasts. Trying to think of the name. It's a theory, or basically the idea that people are never, if they were just a little bit worse off, it would be better for them.
Yeah.
Because they'd actually make the change.
Mm-hmm.
So they're sitting in this comfort zone of, like, their job sucks, but not quite enough. Their boss sucks, but not enough for them to leave. But if their boss was just a little worse, or their situation was a little worse, they'd actually get up off their ass and make the move that they have to make. And that's where I think it lies in with these people that, because discipline, I don't believe in discipline, personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, what even is discipline? It's just a spike in emotional hormones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's great at times to get people somewhere, but I think to show up continuously in some space, you got to hold on to. It comes down to discipline. But I think, what's your thoughts on tying things into discipline, because I don't think it's always so rigid. I don't think it's always so, you just got to get up and do the work. I think sometimes it is. But I look at it as, how do you tie yourself into places that allow you to be disciplined? So, can talk about this gym, for example. I like the atmosphere. That ties me in.
Mm-hmm.
That's the discipline I need. That's maybe the motivation behind the discipline. So the days I don't even feel like coming, I know it's a good environment. So even just being in the good environment might put me in a spot to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, we're never ready. We're never truly ready for anything. It's just the action that leads us into it. It's we learn most in experience, hands down. Wisdom comes with experience. We understand that to its fullest nature. So I would say, when it comes to discipline, do you mean like discipline as in like, you punishment discipline, or are you saying discipline as in a category or something of that nature?
I think just like discipline in the sense of like you talk about a routine.
I see.
What can you implant? What tools or markers or people or feelings can you input into that system that make you want to be there?
Right.
Because if it's so much just on the, well, I just got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Or I just got to do that. I'm sorry, but I don't think people would do that. I think there has to be a reason to the rhyme.
A coach that holds you accountable can do wonders. Peers that hold you accountable can do wonders. Of course, we want this internal monologue and this internal drive to do all the things that we wish to do. But we all know a coach and we all know peers can be that driving piece that helps us along. So what we try to provide here at the club is coaches, mentors that instill that confidence, instill that accountability, instill that, hey, we care as much about you and your successes as you do. And if we have that kind of approach from a coach-athlete relationship, we're going to do great things together. Great things, because I care as much about your craft as you do. And that's something that we instill with our coaches here on our curriculum when we teach them is one of the driving points with our coaching staff is truly care. Go to the great lengths to demonstrate that you truly care about the population that you're working with at any given time. And if you can do that, then good things will happen and they'll respond.
Because humans just want to sometimes share their experience.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just, I want to feel it with you.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's sadness, motivation, excitement, you look at fan bases. Sometimes it's just, I want somebody else to know that they can relate to me and the journey that I'm going on. And that in itself will continue to keep me coming back.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that human accountability, just wanting to be around each other. So kind of piggybacking off that, what if your life doesn't go according to plan? How do we make peace with the fact that we might never feel 100% certain about our purpose or our path?
The what if your life doesn't go as planned? Well, newsflash, it won't. It won't. I mean, literally, I don't care who it is. It didn't go as planned. Truly, it didn't go. Name one person it didn't go as planned. One person, I don't even care who it is. Other than Jesus Christ himself, it didn't go as planned. All right. It can be Donald Trump, Elon Musk, you name it. Anybody that you think is in this incredible position, there is something in their life that ain't going as planned. Promise. Okay. So if it doesn't go as planned, it's okay. These are the cards I'm dealt. How do I play them? We're in a game of poker here. All right. The worst possible hand you can be dealt in a game of poker is a 7-2 offsuit.
Yep.
But guess what? Game of poker, you can still win that damn thing. You just got to bluff your way through it. Right?
Yeah.
You can win the damn thing.
It's not a game of skill. It's a game of flying.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that's sometimes true about life.
Right. You got to fake it till you make it a little bit.
Yeah. And it's like, what does that look like? It's like, how do you carry yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can bet you, if you look at some of these people like Conor McGregor, for instance, I can bet you he was the same person he is now, maybe just more so. Because I think what comes with success and what comes with money and what comes with fame is a magnification of who you already were.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about that all the time. Oh, money's the root of all evil. Yeah. Not if you were a good person beforehand. Not if you believed you were worthy about those things. These people who get into relationships. All that does is magnify who you were to begin with. Nobody's, first of all, someone can fix you. I think that you can get into those positions. People can fix you. I think you can dig your way out of problems. But you are who, you're just magnifying who you are, you know? And going back on that, like, it didn't go as planned. Imagine it did. That'd be boring.
Right.
What fun would it be for me to sit here and go, everything like this podcast?
Mm-hmm.
I had an vision about how it would go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But we're now on the third recording of it because of technical difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't plan that, but you're going with the flow. And it's going to make for one, a great story. Two, refraining me from making the same mistakes going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And three, like, could be the best episode we have.
Yeah.
Right. So how would you define someone who has a purposeful life, or for yourself?
Purpose to me is making a difference. Purpose to me is being your authentic self. Those two pieces to me would be the forefront of my mind when you're asking that question. So by making a difference, usually it's, did you have a positive impact on those around you? And being your authentic self to the best of our degree. Now, we understand that we have social constraints, a lot of things that influence how we act, how we think, our decisions. But if we can be as closely to our self-authorship, truly our self-authorship, no external influences at all, then we're going to be in a good place. So
what do you do? So when you feel, you're on this path of finding that purpose and why, I think even for me, when you know kind of what your purpose is on a grand scale, because it's hard to micro that, I think. When you're wondering, it's kind of foggy, that direction, what do you think? What do you do? When it isn't clear, you kind of reach that crossroads of like...
It's never going to be clear. I mean, really, the way I see it, and so far in my life, your purpose is never going to be clear. But if you stay true to, again, your authentic self and stay true to just having a positive influence, I think your purpose just continues to show itself. And, purpose is, we talk about the insignificance of life and existence and all those kind of things. It's like, well, if my life doesn't matter, what's it matter if I influence other people's lives? Because their lives don't matter either. And the insignificance of the, we're just little specks on the existence and the timeline and, the vastness of the universe around us. But if we approach it of, the gratitude again of, we can be significant in our own insignificance. We can be purposeful in our own little lives here and feel as if we made a difference. Then, yeah.
I think sometimes purpose is just, it's a feeling. I find it sometimes, and this has never made sense to me why people are this way. When people are mean to other people, like just blatantly mean. I'm all for a joke here and there, but like blatantly putting someone down. It's crazy how far a compliment goes and how it makes you feel. Because I think in a weird way, being nice to people and giving them compliments is selfish because you want to feel good about yourself, that you are a good person and kind of confirm your own reality. But it's crazy the depths that could go for someone. Because I can still remember compliments people gave me. Because I think from an outside perspective, people could look at me or you and be like, they got it figured out. Oh, they get plenty of people that tell them they're great. Or this, that, or whatever. The reality of it is I think for most people, that's not the case. I think they're going, no, I don't get complimented much. I don't feel like I run into authentic interactions enough, right? And it's why you cling on to those interactions when you do get them. But I mean, most men don't get flowers until they die. It's the first flowers they'll ever get,
Yeah,
which is
damn.
kind of crazy to think about.
I never thought of that. That's real. That's true.
That's the society we live in. Most
Yeah.
if they'll get their first flowers when they die.
Well, unless you're gay, but that's cool too.
That's cool too.
Yeah,
Or just
no.
give me some flower, give me something, you know.
Yeah.
But I think people underestimate the power of your purpose, finding purpose in uplifting other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I find purpose in that sometimes. It means more to me. Like I said, I work so hard and do the things I do and go to the links I do, you know, this podcast to make people think, but feel good. Hey, you're not the only person out there wondering these things.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the only person out there who struggles with these things.
Mm-hmm.
I might look like I have it all put together sitting on a production podcast. Guess what? I started in the same position you do, and I'm willing to help you when you get it. Because just because it was hard for me to get to that point doesn't mean it has to be hard for you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go down the same. You're still going to go through your own hardships. I think that's just natural. But finding purpose in that, in serving other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, the lie of the fugazi of social media. We see the wins online, the highlights, the awards,
Mm-hmm.
but behind the filtered success, what do most people not see about the reality of trying to build something meaningful?
It's all a facade. It's all a facade. Just understand that. You want to sit there and compare yourself to this and that. Yeah, I promise you, you will find someone better looking than you, better anything than you. You'll find it. All right, you'll find it. So that comparison it's got to be fleeting. You got to avoid it as best we can. Obviously, it's around us at incredible stimulus that the human's existence has ever experienced, and that's why we're seeing a lot of issues from a mental health perspective, all those kind of things, because it's really hard to navigate, especially with our younger generation that has grown up with it their entire lives. So I fear for them a lot, but yeah, that's a tough one.
What almost makes you question too, like when you get to a point where you're posting social media, even I do this. I stop and go, is this cool enough to get likes? And it's like, should that matter?
It really shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
But it's gonna
Right.
be something on your mind. What does
Right.
so and so think of this?
What does so and so think of this? And it's hard to put yourself out there and
Mm-hmm.
you know, posting on social media enough now. I care less, a lot less, because I've been on the other end of people giving you criticism, and you look and this person has like no profile picture, or
Mm-hmm.
they're not who you want to be like
Mm-hmm.
from a physical looks perspective, or just even commenting something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think our world, our society craves authenticity so badly. I think it's just it leaks into every part of our life. You know, relationships, looking at other people. I find myself looking at it and going, man, I just wish, you know, I have a wedding this weekend, you and I both. I'm not going to lie, I'll probably go to that wedding and go, can't wait to have that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be so easy to get, wrapped up in like, you know, because you don't know anything about these people. You don't know any of the nuances of that relationship. And it might be a great relationship, but what does it have to do with yours?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you know that yours is going to look like that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It goes back to that kind of falling in love with potential and not patterns.
Mm-hmm.
What's one moment that you personally didn't post or share with people, but it shaped you a lot?
Yeah, can you have an extraordinary experience and just keep it to yourself? I mean,
It's hard.
it's truly tell no one. Tell no one. Can you do that? Do you have that much authenticity and self-authorship in yourself? That, because at the end of the day, that's all that truly matters. And if we can approach those kind of things, then In my experience, those kind of incredible experiences that no one knows but yourself can be pretty powerful. Um, I'm trying to think off the top of my head a moment of some. You're saying a defining moment, like a failure or a positive, or
I think positive. In this case, more positive than failure, because I think it's easy sometimes for people to keep failures to themselves because
Yeah.
of the embarrassment that might come with that.
Mm-hmm.
But what's a moment you felt like you just really won, or you really accomplished something big, and you're like, I'm gonna keep this one to myself?
Mm. Um, let me table it. Let me think on that. Go
Okay.
to the next question. I'm gonna come up with it. I gotta think on
My
it.
next
though.
question might be it might be a stumper too, but
Okay.
who's the most influential person that you've ever met? Or who's had the biggest impact in your life?
Most influential person I've ever met. Probably my father. Gotta go with my father. He's an incredibly humble person, incredibly intelligent, very mechanically inclined, can fix anything, has maintained great composure through great despair. Lost his mom at a young age, didn't know his father, had to work throughout college, took him like 20 years to graduate with a civil engineering degree, taught me how to lift weights, taught me I wasn't very coachable for a long time, and he'll tell me that. But then it's one of those things. As you grow, you start to learn. You realize, okay, you know what? My father, he knew what he was talking about. I wish I would. I wish I would have understood that, and then I could have been more of a joy of a son for him when I was younger too. Because he probably was like scratching his head, like, this kid ain't listening to me. This being a father isn't fun to this young boy. But but yeah, probably my father for sure. He's shown me what hard work can do, and so hopefully I can repay that to him in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm. I think, kind of piggybacking off that appreciation thing for your parents, something that really altered the way I look at it. I mean, I grew up with parents that I'm like, they were hard, strict on me, and it's like, really? Like, I'm not that bad of a kid. Like, don't you trust me a little bit? And I wish I would have had some of that too. But I think all parents want for their kids is for them to be better than they were.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's every parent's goal. But it changed my perspective when someone said, this is the first time your parents are living too.
Mm-hmm.
They're living life for the first time too.
Yep.
And it kind of just took me aback. And I was like, whoa, like they're human too. Who am I to sit here and, it kind of allowed me to let go of a lot of the animosity in some of those situations. It's like, okay, like you're allowed to make mistakes like me too.
Mm-hmm.
And you really just wanted what's best for me. And realistically, you look back at it now and go, they did a damn good job. Because I have a lot of things, a lot of distractions in the world we live in, the society we live in now, and yet I can keep my head screwed on as pretty darn straight, not making a bad decision. I see the world in a pretty clear view. Kind of going back to that moment.
Okay, I got one.
You got one?
I got one for you.
Here.
All right, this was in Greece, in the Peloponnesian Peninsula, Mount Olympus. All right, there's Mount Olympus, and if you go there, it's an incredible mountain it's actually beautiful because it rests right along the beach too. So you get the best of both worlds. You have this enormous mountain range right next to the beach. So you hear those tall tale questions of, do you choose the mountains or the beach? Well, you go to Greece, you can find them both in the same spot.
It's cool.
But anyway, so I haven't necessarily made this public to any degree, but climbed Mount Olympus without any gear, and almost died several times. To the point where I got to the top, and there was all I had was nothing but nothing but a long sleeve shirt, a bag, and my boots. And I got to the top, and these like avid climbers, they looked at me and they go, "Is that what you climbed here in?" They were upset. "Is that what you climbed here in?" I was like, "Yeah, I didn't know any better." And they were like, they're like, "You're stupid. You're stupid. You're insane. You're dumb. You should be dead. You should be, people die in this mountain every year. You should be dead." And they're like, "You cannot go down by yourself. You have to come with us." And they had ropes and they had spikes and all that kind of stuff. And it turns out going down a mountain is much harder than going up.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually glad I met them and they helped me down. But no, there was one passage where it was pure ice. And I just remember thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? At this moment in time, I don't have any deep concerns. I don't have any deep karmas that I feel like the world should. I haven't caused more harm than good in this world.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I'm meant to die, I'm meant to die. But I think I'm gonna be okay crossing this passage. And I mean, it's one of those passages where like you slip, you're done. You're done. And I didn't have spikes. I didn't have a rope. Nothing. And but you know, I'm here, so I crossed it. I made it. But yeah, so that's not anything. You know, some people close to me I've told about that story, but yeah.
Isn't it crazy hearing that story? The things you can do when you don't know what the limits are.
Yeah, I had no clue.
Like that, it's almost like the lack of knowledge is probably what saved you.
I didn't
Because those dudes are going, "Oh, you're so." It's like, but I didn't see it. Like when you go into something without the knowledge of fear, the fear that is tied into that, it's crazy what you can do with that.
Yeah,
That's what I'm getting from that story.
You're exactly right. I didn't think on it at all. I didn't speak to any experts. I genuinely was just in Greece, and just one day decided, I was like, I'm gonna get this rental car. I'm gonna drive 4 hours from Athens all the way up to Mount Olympus, this base camp. I'm gonna stay the night, and I didn't talk to nobody. Just kept to myself, and all I had was some hiking boots, and I didn't know any different. I truly did not know any different. But you're exactly right. Then the good thing I didn't know different, because it made me a little bit fearless. Mm-hmm. If I would have known that I was
how
climbing that without gear, I didn't know what gear was. I didn't know I was supposed to have a freaking hammer with a spike and spikes on my shoes and a rope to tie off. I had no clue it was that serious of a climb. When
how far was that climb?
It was starting to get hard there. I was definitely second guessing myself a lot.
Well, how high up was that climb?
I can't remember the feet. I mean, it wasn't like a 14er. It was probably like 10,000, 8,000.
That's a lot of feet.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, there's ice, this was April. And so it's at the bottom, there's, it's 80 degrees, but you get to the top and it's cold. So.
Yeah. The wind change. But I mean, you probably had some conversations with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, keeping to yourself. One, the lack of fear allowed you to kind of go forward and do that. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy how that works. When you almost are oblivious to the barriers that are in front of you, the things you can accomplish from that. But I'm sure you had some conversations with yourself, some negotiations with yourself going, what I'm doing right now is sketch, or just whatever, contemplating life. And I mean, like you said, you're sitting here literally making a decision going, all right, I'm just basically accepting that I die here with no one that I know around me.
Yeah.
Like, what are they going to know back home? I died on a climb in Greece.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy. But those moments are super, like you said, they build you, they shape you. Probably look at the world a different way. You probably looked at yourself a little differently, your limits. How much did your belief in your limits change after that?
Considerably. That trip did a lot for me. A lot of situations like that. Going there with no plan, by yourself, nothing but curiosity, and I had a few meetings arranged with some different historians at some different museums to ancient athletics is something of interest of mine. And, but, you know, some of the experiences that I had there definitely still shape me today, 100%. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to join me and have what I found to be a very enlightening, interesting conversation.
Yeah, this was fun, man.
Awesome. Tune in next week for episode 5, Afterthoughts.